Thank you for taking the time out of your morning to come out and learn about Sutter County and its budget. If we can get a roll call, please.
Supervisor Boone.
Here.
Supervisor Flores.
Present.
Supervisor Ziegemeier.
Here.
Supervisor Baines.
Present.
Supervisor Stevens.
Here.
All right, if we can get our sheriff to lead us in the pledge. Thank you. Members of the public will be allowed to address the board on items of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors. State law provides that no discussion or action may be taken on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. All right, we're going to go to item 1. We're going to open the public hearing.
Conduct a public hearing on the fiscal year 2026-27 recommended budget and provide direction to staff on any adjustments to be included prior to budget adoption.
Okay, good morning, Honorable Chair and Supervisor. Steve Smith, County Administrator. Before I turn it over to our Assistant County Administrator to go through the presentations and then you'll open the public hearings, just wanted to give a brief summary on the budget and the development of the budget for fiscal year 26-27. Thank you everyone for being here. Does look like mostly staff and representatives from every department. And it's good to see that because everyone contributes to this. And we like to call the budget the ultimate policy document of the board, because when you appropriate funds for certain services, you're saying this is important to us. And for next year's, the 26-27 budget starting in July, the budget total is $552 million, and net of interfund transfers, it's about $360 million, just under. And the general fund is $87 million. This budget, each year, it's difficult to put together, of course, taking the requests from the departments and coming up with recommendations to your board. We don't take it lightly because every service that the county offers is important. And one thing that made it a little more challenging this year was the state the state and federal governments, and some of the laws and bills that have been passed, including the H.R. 1, Big Beautiful Bill Act, and then some items included in the state budget. And I'll give a couple examples. So last night, the state legislature came to an agreement and sent their version of the final budget to the governor's office. So now there will be about 12 days of negotiations. And there were some key changes that the legislature included that the governor did not. So the legislature included $835 million to address shortfalls created by H.R. 1, the Big Beautiful Bill Act. There was $125 million for indigent health care related to Medi-Cal eligibility, and almost $460 million specifically for county eligibility work. They also rejected the governor's proposal to shift IHSS costs to counties. This was anticipated to cost counties overall about $360 million beginning in 27-28. Again, none of this is finalized, but it's things. Some of these are good for Sutter County. There was $50 million in one-time funding for Prop 36. Prop 36, if you remember, is kind of the bill that made crime a crime again and holds people accountable going in through being able to provide services, mandated drug rehabilitation versus jail time. And it passed in every single county, rural or urban. So 50 million isn't going to cover a lot when you split it between 58 counties, and assuming the large counties get the largest share of that, it is something. But we need much more if we want to be able to act and adhere, I guess, to the will of the people and the voters. Prop 36, dealing with public safety, we continue to deal with rapidly increasing public safety costs. And this is across the board in counties throughout the state. This is related primarily just to inflationary costs. There's nothing that our public safety departments are doing wrong or overspending on. But over the past 14 years, the general fund costs for public safety have risen significantly, and I have a couple numbers here. In 14 years, the general fund department costs went from $22.1 million to $23.2 million. So that's an increase of just over $1 million in 14 years, or averaging 0.4% increase annually. The public safety fund grew from $23.7 million to $41 million, a net increase of $17.2 million versus a bit over $1 million for the general fund departments. And that's a 72.6% increase, averaging about 5.6% annually. So the key takeaway, I guess, is the public safety fund is the primary driver of general fund cost growth, and the growth in public safety far outpaces all the other departments combined. However, I will say that we have a tremendous public safety team. We have the folks in our public safety departments, top to bottom, are top notch, and we're so grateful to have some flexibility with them, working with them to put together this budget. Further complicating things is the city of Live Oak, as it's publicly known, has given notice for both fire and police provided by the sheriff services. We are working on solutions with them, and we have a very collegial relationship with them, so we're trying to work out funding for this fiscal year. The final numbers and solution for that are unknown, so I wanted to make sure that I stated that the county has a public safety specific reserve, and it's about $1 million. And we may come back to your board making recommendations for possible use of that, depending on the final implementation and staffing needed, primarily there in the sheriff's department, but it could impact other public safety departments as well. At the same time that the public safety costs have risen, Prop 172, which is the half-cent public safety sales tax approved by voters in, I think, 92 or 93, that's decreased over the past 5 years by about $1.1 million. So in fiscal year 21-22, Prop 172 public safety sales tax covered 42% of the public safety fund costs. And now in 26-27, it's only going to cover 27%. So from 42 to 27%, which means the general fund was covering 58% of public safety costs, and now it's covering 73%. In contrast to some of these sobering numbers, there are areas of opportunity. The county continues to work diligently on economic development. We have many opportunities in the unincorporated area, not just in the Sutter Point specific plan, but within the cities and outside of our two cities, Live Oak and Yuba City. And with the board's leadership and encouragement, we have gone through with rezoning processes to have land along the major highways rezoned into commercial, to spark economic development. And we also have staff working with developers, working with our cities on coming up with ways to enhance and bring job growth, because with a very tight budget, you have two solutions. One is cut costs, or two is raise revenue. And I think you can see over the past 14 years with the general fund departments at 0.4% increase annually, to maintain that low, very, very low level of cost increase, we've cut over the years in most departments. So, and even with the public safety costs going up 5.6% annually, we still have not had large growth in public safety either. It's just the business is very expensive to run, including jail medical, where our costs, 10 to 12 years ago were around $400,000 a year, and now are over $4 million. And this is related to the state pushing long-term prisoners down to county jails, where we are covering their health care costs, we are covering surgeries, we are covering long-term health conditions and monitoring, and have to have 24/7 medical coverage in the jail. So I apologize for being a bit of a bummer. I did, have those upsides with economic development, but maybe the biggest thing that I'm thankful for is the staff and the departments. We have such a collegial working environment here at Sutter County, and people want to be here and make a difference. We including the board, and we struggle. We get through incidents together. Like recently, people may be aware, the library had 5 air conditioning units vandalized and the copper stolen out of them. And we're moving quickly on that. It's unfortunate the library is closed this week. However, they're open in the museum. Stop by if you'd like to check out a book. But general services on it immediately. Our risk manager, one-man team in county council, working it out, and we expect to have some movement very soon on that. But things like that unnecessarily cost the county, or through our insurance rates, cost us money, where the cost to replace all of that is around $100,000. And it's just, that's unfortunate. But the teams that pull us together and helped us develop this budget and help maintain these services, much needed services in Sutter County, all goes out to you, the board, and the employees. So thank you all. And of course, for those that aren't able to be here, please let them know we thank them as well. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our Assistant County Administrator, Laura Granados. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. So a quick recap for where we are for those that are new to the budget process. In December, your board approved the budget calendar, and the process formally began in January. Since that time, departments have submitted their budget requests and met with the county administrator's office to discuss upcoming needs and operational trends. The difference between the department requests and the estimated revenues for 26-27 is the budget gap, which was presented to your board on May 12th. Working with departments with input by your board, the budget gap was closed, resulting in the recommended budget. Your board received the presentation on the 26-27 recommended budget on May 12th, last Tuesday, June 9th. California Government Code requires the Board of Supervisors to conduct an annual public hearing of the proposed budget. Consistent with this requirement, notice of the hearing was published on May 29th in the Appeal Democrat, and the recommended budget was made available on the county's website. Budget hearings provide the public once again an opportunity to review the proposed budget, offer comments and recommendations, and participate in the county's budget development before the board considers adoption next Tuesday, June 23rd, at a regularly scheduled meeting. Once again, I would like to highlight a key improvement in our budget process, and it's the county's first interactive budget book. Folks can use the QR code in the presentation to link to the publication. The county budget book for fiscal year 26-27 provides the public with easy access to the county's full budget without the need to download the large file. The document includes nearly 1,000 pages of detailed financial information, offering a comprehensive overview of county revenues and expenditures. The online format provides transparency and usability through enhanced search functionality, along with charts and graphs that help clarify complex financial data. Narrative sections are also included to provide context for key budget information. Not only is the budget book available on the county administrator's website, but printed copies are also available at the public library main branch when it's open after the air conditioners are fixed, and the county administrator's office. So the total appropriations for fiscal year 26-27 recommended budget are $551.6 million. When compared to the 25-26 adopted budget, it's an increase of $16 million. However, this increase is primarily due to changes in accounting and funding mechanisms within Bi-County Behavioral Health, which has become the largest fund with total appropriations at $92.4 million, an increase of $21 million over the prior year. A majority of this increase is related to implementation of the new Behavioral Health Services Act and intergovernmental transfer funding structure. These changes require additional transfers into and out of related funds and the establishment of new cost centers to comply with state-mandated accounting and reporting requirements. As a result, the increase in appropriation reflects a change in accounting methodology rather than an increase in behavioral health funding. The general fund increased by $5.7 million, driven mainly by growth in property tax, sales tax, interest earnings, and fees for service revenues. And even though much of this increase supports public safety, as Steve mentioned earlier, public safety funding has decreased due to expiring grant funding, decreased Proposition 172 funding, and realignment revenues and other limited funding sources. State and federal revenues declined in both welfare and public health by a combined $12 million, primarily due to reduced grant funding and realignment revenues. Unlike public safety, these programs do not receive general fund backfill to offset those reductions. Total capital projects are recommended at a little over $11 million. It is important to note that none of these projects are funded with general fund. They are funded through other sources such as special revenues and restricted funds. Departments are doing an outstanding job identifying alternative funding sources for major projects. As an example, funding from the Community Corrections Partnership has offered $6 million for the first phase of the jail HVAC project. There's special revenues, federal and state funds, and road-related projects funded through the road fund. Total vehicle requests are recommended at $2.9 million. Of this total, only $578,000 is recommended to be paid with general fund, with the remaining $2.3 million to be used is using funding from special revenue funds, state and federal funds, and again, road-related projects are funded through the road fund. Capital assets are recommended at $1.5 million. Of this total, $98,000 is recommended to be paid with general fund, with the remaining $1.48 million using funding from special revenue, state and federal funds, and road-related projects funded through the road fund. Across all departments, the county's largest expense is its workforce. So managing personnel costs is critical to maintaining financial stability. All position changes are reviewed by Human Resources and then further evaluated and coordinated with the County Administrator's Office to ensure they are justified and appropriately funded. Total position changes in the recommended budget are a net decrease of 2 positions. Several departments have frozen positions for the upcoming fiscal year representing real service needs that cannot be funded. In addition, 9 positions are proposed for elimination, totaling about $2 million. 1 supervisor position in information technology, and that's the result of their restructure, of their department restructure, and 8 in health and human services due to expiring federal grants, reductions in state funding, and declining revenue, realignment revenue. At the same time, departments are working collaboratively to shift positions internally to maintain financial stability and keep good workers. Where new positions are being requested, they are not supported by general fund. Instead, they are funded through fees, grants, or other non-general fund sources. For example, the auditor controller is requesting a new accountant position, which will be funded through state and federal dollars tied to health and human services. County council has also requested to unfreeze a deputy council position. Anticipated revenues from Center Point development, along with internal staffing adjustments, are expected to offset this cost, making it effectively net neutral. The district attorney has also requested to unfreeze a position with some internal adjustments to manage those costs. Overall, departments are being strategic in how they are funding staffing, and it is important to note that the total savings from unfunded position exceeds the total cost of the new positions. And with that summary, department heads and staff are available to answer questions and provide any additional information or clarification the board may require during its consideration of the proposed budget. So first, we'll start off with Section A, the Agriculture, Culture, and Education section, which includes, of course, the Agriculture Department, the Library Museum, Bi-County Veteran Services, and the Bi-County Farm Advisor, among others. Total appropriations are recommended at $6,885,861. And it's an increase of $267,000 or 4% from the 25-26 adopted budget. And I'll return it back to your board for public comment and board discussion.
With that, we are going to open up the public comment. Is there any comment? With that, we're going to close the public comment, move back to the board for discussion.
Through the chair, I'd move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Flores, second by Supervisor Baines. Can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor Boone?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Stevens?
Aye. Moving on to Section B.
Section B, Development Services Departments, which include, of course, the Development Services, Engineering Services, Planning and Building, Environmental Health, Road, and many, many others. Total appropriations are recommended at $34,765,762, which is an increase of $3.8 million from the 25-26 adopted budget. And I'll return it back to you for public comment and discussion.
All right, we'll open up the public comment. Any comment? We'll close the public comment, bring it back to the board for discussion.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Baines, second by Supervisor Stevens. Can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor Boone?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Stevens?
Moving on to Section C.
Section C, General Government Departments, which include the Board of Supervisors, the County Administrator's Office, County Council, Human Resources, the Auditor Controller, Fire Administrator, Elections, and many, many others. Total appropriations are recommended at $86,713,027, which includes the transfer out to Health, Social Services, Trial Court, and Public Safety. It's an increase of $738,000, which is less than 1% from the 25-26 adopted budget. Return back to you for public comment and board discussion.
All right, we'll open up the public comment. Is there any public comment? We'll close the public comment, bring it back to the board for discussion. All right.
Through the chair, I just have one question on the addition of a staff member to the auditor's office. Could we get some clarification on the reason and what's needed?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I believe Nate is making his way up.
I know it's been explained, but I just want to make sure we're clear on it. Thank you.
Good morning, Supervisor Flores. Thank you for the question. Sarah, HHS Director, and I have partnered over the years on many things. This is one of the probably most important partnerships where she's offered, it's a win-win in my opinion, but where she's offered to directly fund a position that is centrally located in our office, and it gives us time to have 100% of that full-time equivalence work life with us, learning from us, training with us, and then helping assist on the very voluminous HHS specific issues. So I think that was the idea behind it, and because it's funded by non-general fund dollars, we were hoping that it would work for everybody given the constraints on the general fund.
Great, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that.
My is this paid for by grant, but is this an ongoing position, or is this for this upcoming year?
Thank you, Chairman. We are proposing a permanent position. A part of the driver are also the changes from the Behavioral Health Services Act, which has significant increases in financial reporting required to include some reorganization of accounting structure, so very labor and technical accounting intensive. So this would be a permanent position driven by those changes in reporting for BHSA and all of the other HHS funding sources that we have. This will include additional audit reports and fiscal reporting as well.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, with that, we will bring it back to the board.
Move approval.
Second.
I got a motion by Supervisor Flores, second by Supervisor Stevens. Can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor Boone?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Stevens?
Moving on to Section D.
Section D, General Service Departments, which include, of course, General Services, Building Maintenance, Fleet, Information Technology, Parks and Rec, Commercial Leases, among others. Total appropriations are recommended at $13,820,796, which is an increase of $1 million or 7.9% from the 25-26 adopted budget. I'll turn it back to your board for public comments and board discussion.
We'll open up for public comment. No public comment. Bring it back for the board for discussion.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Move to approve staff's recommendation. Second.
All right, we got a motion by Supervisor Baines, second by Supervisor Boone. Can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor Boone?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Stevens?
Aye. Moving on to section number E.
Section E, Health and Human Services Department, which includes behavioral health, public health, social services, public guardian, foster care, among many others. Total appropriations are recommended at $212,126,360, which is an increase of $3.6 million or 1.76% from the 25-26 adopted budget. Returning back to you for public comment and board discussion.
We'll open up the public comment period. Any public comment, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion.
To the chair.
Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, with the state's mandates and they're kind of coming up with their shortfall, I was just kind of wondering how we're going to make up that little gap there. If you could kind of give everyone kind of an overview, a quick one.
Yes, absolutely, Supervisor. So the board policy is not to backfill cuts in state and federal funding. And so Health and Human Services is going to be working with County Council to look at our kind of menu of mandates. And at some point, if, as the state is doing now, if they're not fully funding the costs of those mandates, we'll have to evaluate which mandates we can no longer do and which mandates we'll need to be putting down. And so there'll be an evaluation process over the coming year, depending upon the state budget that's published on June 30th. And we would be, of course, coming before the board and talking with you about those things we'd need to set down. But essentially, we won't be able to complete mandates that aren't reimbursed by the state.
Okay, with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
We got a motion by Supervisor Boone, second by Supervisor Flores. Can we get a roll call, please?
Supervisor Boone?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Stevens?
All right, moving on to Section F.
Section F, Law and Justice Departments, which include the sheriff, jail, district attorney, public defender, probation, grand jury, among many others. Total appropriations are recommended at $96,530,731, which is an increase of $7.9 million or 8.93% from the 25-26 adopted budget. Returning back to your board for public comment and board discussion.
I will open up the public comment. No public comment, bring it back for the board for discussion.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I was reading in here where this budget is directly going to impact maybe the homeless issue in the area by cutting officers. Brandon, you have any comment on that, or how we might be affected?
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor, for the question. So my department had roughly a $4.3 million deficit that we had to overcome due to increases. And so to accomplish that, we've got to hold roughly 22 positions department-wide amongst our 3 divisions vacant for salary savings. So one of those positions was Deputy Lacan's position, who was really part of our community response team in homeless outreach. He has been pulled back to help not only cover a vacancy in the court, but really to help us focus on essential services, which are those calls that come into our 911 dispatch center. So for the next year, some of the things that we've done in the past, out in the community, for example, we will not be able to accomplish those just because of the vacancies that we'll have to hold department-wide.
That's not good news.
I agree.
Yeah.
To the chair?
Yes, sir.
Brandon, while you're there, I don't know if you know where that stands, but I think we probably, Laura might have some answers. Approximately, what is the percentage of your budget with respect to our entire budget? What's your percentage for the law enforcement?
You have the percentage.
You have an idea what that number might be? The reason I'm asking is, I've had some constituents ask, say, okay, well, we would pay our property taxes every year. And so we're looking at where's our fire services going to be? Where's our law enforcement going to be? So I think it's kind of important to have a roundabout. I mean, every one of these divisions are definitely important. I just kind of wondered where we were at with fire and safety.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a number in my head that's an old number, so I don't want to give incorrect information. So we'll let Laura do a quick calculation.
I see some movement.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what, while Laura's looking it up, over the course of 8 years, actually, what I've witnessed while I've been here, I don't think I've ever seen a department grow by more than 0.05% other than public safety. And the reason for that is as insurance costs escalate and insurances themselves escalate, if you look at what's been cut throughout the county over the course especially of 3 to 4 years, I'm looking at 2 department heads right in front of me, library and museum, that have been trimmed up the most. And we said that, and with all respect to those amazing departments that, we're making those cuts because public safety has always been our #1 priority. And I can't take credit for that because it was done well before I was here. We have just continued to cut and cut and cut. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier, is that jail health insurance that has just been hindering. And it's not only us. We talk to supervisors throughout this state, and they say the exact same thing. And we talk to our state assembly members, and we lobby them every chance we get to change that at the state level. Help cities pay a little more towards our county jails. But who knows? But when you look at the budgets, I think you're doing an amazing job. I think when you look at the homeless budgets you hear about all this billions of dollars that are going for homeless, and where's it going? Where is it going? It's not coming here because we're not getting a lot of it. And we are making as many moves as we possibly can, especially with Better Way, and how many people Better Way has helped and throughout the years. But like I said, it's a shame, but you got to do what's necessary for public safety, and I commend you for making those moves. And I think you do a great thing with what you have.
Well, it's attributed to our staff and command staff. But back to Supervisor Boone's question. So in working with Laura, it looks like of the general fund contribution towards public safety, which is all of us, it's roughly 44% of general fund dollars.
Okay, well, that's a good number. I like that, and I appreciate all your efforts in trying to put this together and helping us make our budget look good, and we appreciate that.
Sir.
With that being said, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Hold on, Supervisor Stevens would like to.
Yeah, going back to my original question, Sheriff, one of the things I'm really concerned about is just the progress that we have made in the homeless area, the river bottoms, and keeping our county, free of homelessness and the problems. Is there any leeway to continuing on with that in some manner?
Yeah, in some small degree. So the way we're going to offset that is through our normal patrol responsibilities. But again, we'll have to prioritize our calls for service. So priority calls, emergencies, things like that will take precedence. But when we can, we will certainly get down into those areas. But it will not be with any level of consistency. We don't have the ability to work with the HART team and things like that on a consistent basis. Of those 22 positions, 13 of those are attributed to patrol operations, including 4 from the city of Live Oak altogether, a boating and waterway deputy, our homeless liaison deputy, and several other deputy sheriff positions that we're keeping vacant, which really impact our ability to respond to some of those essential calls. It increases our response time. I mean, there's all kinds of effects. And if you look at what we're doing in the city of Live Oak, probably within the next month or so, we will be reducing the types of calls that we actually respond to because their staffing is basically going down to half of what it is now. So we can't continue to respond to 8,000 calls a year with half as many deputies. It's just a math problem. So, yeah.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we got a first and a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor Boone?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Zigemeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Stevens?
All right, motion passes. Moving on to section G.
Actually, we usually
section,
have G and J, yeah.
All right.
So Section G is the non-operating special revenue funds, and they're recommended at $100,630,111, which is a decrease of $1.2 million or 1% from the fiscal year 25-26 adopted budget. And Section J is the position allocation schedule, which is recommended at a decrease, overall net decrease of 2 FTEs. Return it back to your board for public comments and public discussion.
To the chair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Chairman, I just wanted to comment, in one of the graphs, I'm just backing up a second, it mentions, it shows public safety 44%, but that doesn't include the trial court budget of 8%, which is public safety related, so we're at about 52% for general fund. Thank you.
No, thank you for clarifying that. All right. So we'll open up the public comment. Any public comment? We'll close the public comment, bring it back to the board for discussion. No discussion. I'll look for a motion.
Also move.
I'll second.
I got a motion by Supervisor Stevens, second by Supervisor Flores. Can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor Boone?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Zigemeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Stevens?
Aye.
All right. That being said, we are going to adjourn as the Board of Supervisors and convene as the Waterworks District 1 Board of Directors, and we'll let the roll call stand. Members of the public will be allowed to address the Waterworks District 1 Board of Directors on items of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. State law provides that no action may be taken on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. Item 1.
Conduct a public hearing on the Waterworks District Number 1 fiscal year 2026-27 recommended budget and provide direction to staff on any adjustments to be included prior to budget adoption.
Total appropriations are recommended at $594,985, which is an increase of $325,000 or 120% from the fiscal year 25-26 adopted budget. Remember, this is including the federal earmark of the $400,000 for their backup emergency generator, so that's why it went up so much from last year's adopted budget. As a dependent district, there is no net county cost included in the recommended budget. So we'll return back to your board for discussion.
All right, we're going to open up the public hearing. All right. Any public comments? No public comments. We'll close the public hearing, bring it back before the board for discussion.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
move approval of the recommended action.
We got a motion by Supervisor Flores, second by Supervisor Baines. Can I get a roll call, please?
Director Boone,
Aye.
Director Flores,
Aye.
Director Ziegemeier,
Aye.
Director Baines,
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. We're going to adjourn as the Waterworks District 1 Board of Directors and convene as the In-Home Support Services Public Authority Governing Board, and we will let the roll call stand. Members of the public will be allowed to address the In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority Board of Directors on items of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. State law provides that no action may be taken on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. We'll open up the public hearing.
Total appropriations are recommended at $1,342,884, which is a decrease of $1,438 or 0.11% from the 25-26 adopted budget. There is no county general fund included in this cost center. Turn it back to your board for public comment and discussion.
All right, well, any public comment? No public comment. We'll close that period, and then we'll bring it back to the board for discussion.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
move approval of the recommended action.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Flores, second by Supervisor Baines. Can I get a roll call, please?
Director Boone,
Aye.
Director Flores,
Aye.
Director Ziegemeier,
Aye.
Director Baines,
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Motion passes. We're going to adjourn as the In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority Governing Board and reconvene as Board of Supervisors.
Excuse me, Chairman, would you like the roll call to stand?
Yes, I would. Thank you. Okay. So with that, we are going to bring it back to our CAO for any closing comments, and we'll bring it back to the board for closing comments.
Yeah, that does complete budget hearings. And again, I want to thank the board for direction and priorities and staff for so diligently working on the budget. It's difficult every year. It feels like it gets more difficult every year. And we just couldn't do it without the fantastic team we have and all the effort put in. So in summary, just thank you. And I can't say it enough how much we all appreciate all the work done for the county. Thank you.
All right, with that, we're going to bring it back to our board. We'll start out on the heart of Sutter County, District 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I wanted to say that was awesome. A great experience, the budget, and nobody usually says that, but the reason that went so quickly today is because of all the background work that is done by this staff. And it's incredible the communication that's been kept up over the past several months. You know, the board's been communicated to over and over and over again about every part of this, you know, and it saves a lot of time from going through a painstaking budget hearing that we have to, you know, we've done in the past, and you go through the process. But it's really helpful to have this type of communication and staff. So I just really want to, you know, thank the staff for all the hard work on this budget. And as Steve mentioned, it does seem like it gets harder and harder every year. I've seen 12 go through, and it's hard. It is harder and harder, and the gap seems bigger. And somehow you continue to close it, you know. And as Steve and Laura also mentioned, we continue to face all these rising costs, and the feds and the state don't seem to be on our side ever, you know. So, but despite that, we're able to pull it together and keep everything moving forward. So for me, I want to reiterate what our CAO mentioned, and I just want to thank every employee involved in this process. I want to thank all the employees of the county. The employees of this county, if you haven't seen it demonstrated, you're truly our greatest asset, and we appreciate all of the work that you do all the time. You know, as we move forward, I will tell you that our goal is to really continue to focus on economic development. Of course, we're going to have to cut costs where we have to. But we're going to continue to serve the citizens of this county the best we can. And we're going to do that with your support. And we really, again, just really appreciate that, because at the end of the day, the reason that Sutter County really works is because of you. So thank you for the work that you do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ditto.
Thank you. All right, move, Supervisor Stevens?
My colleague on my left always says it's the heart of Sutter County, his district. Well, I've come up with a word for mine. It's the pristine area of Sutter County. So I'm going to refer
Ooh, nice. I like it.
refer to my area as the pristine area. But I want to echo what Supervisor Flores said. I want to thank the staff, CAO's office. I come in multiple times during the weekend and late at night at times, and staff is always there working on, or not always, but a lot of times they're working on budgets. So I know they're putting in the time and the effort to try to get it right and do what's right for this county. I've also been involved in labor negotiations where I know our employees are under the area and the different departments, and I've been in these meetings where there are signs being held up, and I would love to have increased salaries and wages and everything else, and that puts us in a very tight position, in a very hard position to say no, or to not grant when we know we're underfunded and struggle in this county. But this board has done a very good job of saying, we recognize how wonderful our employees are, but we have to take a very tough position in being financially responsible. So I appreciate every one of you for staying with us. I hope in the future we can increase revenue and provide for better benefits and more positive things moving forward in this county. Our roads, our police, our fire, we've got challenges all over the place, but thankfully you guys have all stuck with us, and your departments and your employees have been faithful to Sutter County, and I thank you for that. It's not easy making these decisions to either cut or maintain the current level, so I just want to thank all of you for that, and I want to thank the staff and the administration office for presenting a balanced budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Baines?
Already said it. Again, say thank all the employees of Sutter County and the staff, and particularly the department heads. I know this wasn't easy, but you guys you made it work. So thank you, and again, the CAO's office. Appreciate you all. Thanks.
Supervisor Boone?
Yeah, I want to say a couple of months ago, we came to a few meetings, and I was a little beside myself to find out how big our gap was. And thanks to all of our staff, our CAO, and all of you for stepping up and making those instrumental cuts, even though it's not what we want. Because as most of us here know, we all run businesses pretty much. And if we had the extra money, we'd definitely make sure you were well taken care of up and over the top. And it's really difficult. And I just want to say thank you to all of you, because without you guys really make it work, make our job a lot easier. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to echo everything that's been said here this morning. I want to thank not only our incredible colleague employees, the department heads. I want to thank the community individuals that have taken the time to sit down with us and to really learn what's happening in the community. That means a lot, especially when we have a meeting later on this week. Young lady is going to sit down with CEO Smith and I and ask those questions that she might not feel comfortable asking in the public. And we're fine with that. We love that. We implore that, because there's a lot of great things happening right now. A lot of great things happening. And I'm excited for this upcoming year. I'm excited for the commercial development that we voted for in 2025 along Highway 20. We are pushing very hard for this. We have supervisors all over the county, not only working with Sutter County, but working with our neighboring counties, especially when you look at Placerville and what's going along right there along Rago Road. It's a big deal. It's huge. Supervisor Boone said it himself. We run businesses. And it's tough for me not to treat this as a business, which means we have costs and we have what's coming in. And it's important that we bring in more what's coming in, which means that revenue, which means sales tax, which means we need more commercial industrial here in this area. We need an actual hotel. We have no hotels in Sutter County. Wouldn't that be awesome to have 2 or 3 along Highway 20? That's what's gonna help us out, is pushing for this commercial industrial. And I applaud our Public Works Department working with the developers, Wind Communities along Rago Road. I applaud the gentleman from my left and my right, working. We're all working as fast as we can to get it in here. I don't care what time of the day it is. We'll take the meetings, we take the phone calls, because that's what we're here for. We're here to listen, to do what we possibly can to bring in more. And we couldn't do it with our amazing department heads working with each other, working with us, because that means a great deal. This Thursday, we have a meeting with the congressman this Thursday. This is, I gotta, we have a meeting about my company, first of all. And then I said, you know what? I have another trucking company that's coming in to sit down. We have HHS coming in to sit down. So we're just gonna meeting after meeting after meeting, because there's so many issues that we wanna get through. And like I said, there's not enough hours in the day, not enough hours in the week, but thank you for our department heads for making the time. Thank you to our amazing CAO for always answering the call and helping us walk through this, and really doing a great job of always explaining everything to us. And Laura, thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do.
To the chair.
Yes, sir.
Can I just give one last comment? It's not related, but I just want to congratulate Congressman Gallagher for getting sworn in just now. And, I think it's a big deal, because he used to sit in this chair right here. And I think, we have a congressman that came from Sutter County, and I'd love to, I know we're going to recognize him, but I just want to mention that because it just happened, and pretty exciting that we have a congressman representing us from this district. So thank you.
Yeah, so, former supervisor, former assemblyman, current congressman, grew up in East Nicholas, served as a supervisor, went on to serve as an assembly member, and now finishing off the great Doug LaMalfa's term, which is incredible. It's very exciting. We're sad that we couldn't make the meeting today. His oath swearing in is in Orville in 5 minutes. So, congratulations to him and his wife and his amazing 5 children. Yes, Supervisor.
Thank you. I also we had something very special happen in my Pristine area. Out at Berry School, we had a teacher that many of you may have saw at the San Francisco Giants game, received $30,000 for their library, and was the Teacher of the Year, and her name is, I believe, I don't have it with me, Christine Kirschner. I would like to request a plaque for her at our next board meeting, please.
Yep, that's amazing. I love that. I saw that in the newspaper. That's amazing. $30,000 for their school library. I'd like to add on that, on top of that, certificates for the Sutter baseball players that made the all-star teams, or any baseball, softball player that made the all-star teams in Sutter County, along with the first team all-section individuals, softball or baseball throughout the county, if we can get certificates for them. All right, with that being said, if there's anything else, can we get a roll call for those?
I
We'll
believe
move
we need a
approval.
motion.
Move
A motion, I'm sorry.
Move approval, the recommended
And a
action.
motion by Supervisor Flores, second by Supervisor Stevens,
Supervisor
with a third by Supervisor Baines.
Supervisor Boone,
Aye.
Supervisor Flores,
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier,
Aye.
Supervisor Baines.
Aye.
Supervisor Stevens.
Aye.
Before we finish, I want to thank Donna Johnson for her amazing leadership over there in elections. Well done. It's amazing. They work. all throughout the hours, Saturdays, Sundays. They really hustled. They always hustle. If you get a chance, you go in there and you watch it happen, and it's first class, well done. Anyone that's ever complained, they go in there and they watch it and they see what your staff does, and there is no complaints anymore because it's just a well-oiled machine. You're very thorough. Great job. And you have the certificates to prove that, how thorough you are. Thank you. All right, we will close the budget session, and I hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. And it's supposed to cool down, which is nice.